Gentlemen, pack of Reds, please.
360. New tax on a new warning.
Oh, Christ.
Everyone knows that smoking is bad for you. It's no big secret. Films even acknowledge this themselves.
God damn, will somebody tell me why I smoke these damn things?
And yet, it's one of the most familiar images in Hollywood today, even when the situation seems ludicrous or downright implausible.
I find that unlikely.
Some genres, like the crime genre or detective stories, are practically unimaginable without the sight of someone smoking. So, what's filmmakers' fascination with cigarettes? Smoking itself is, after all, pretty simple. You light the cigarette, and you smoke it. What's different each time is everything else.
To prove that you are mine.
Smoking is most notable in films when it's part of the plot. This can involve overt plot points that involve cigarettes as a commodity, whether they're being bought, sold, or fought over.
Most of the actors smoke already. If they start doing it on screen, you can put the sex back into cigarettes.
Well, it's a thought.
More commonly, a cigarette can be an agent of change that's used to instigate some type of conflict. For example, it could be used to accidentally spawn alien life, but more often this involves cigarettes being used to start a fire or an explosion.
Guy who's the talk of the town with the restless guy.
Or they can be used to instigate another type of disaster, like a car crash, a car fire, or any other car-related kerfuffle. Sometimes, smoking is simply used to put a character in the right place at the right time, whether it's to meet someone, to have an idea, or to make a discovery. Fuck! However, what's talked about less is how great smoking is at showing character relationships. I'm talking about who has the power in a scene, who has the upper hand. Usually this is the person smoking the cigarette, but this doesn't have to be the case.
Someone killed those girls.
From this information, we can usually infer who the protagonist or good guy is, who the antagonist is, and who's just ugly. However, one of the more interesting uses of smoking is when it's used to help us understand who a character is. For example, we can learn if this is their first smoke,
Guys don't smoke like that.
and we can even infer something further about a character's nature through learning that they don't smoke.
Smoke? Oh, I don't smoke when I eat. Want to go outside? I don't smoke when I don't eat either.
You don't smoke, do you?
Once. In high school.
And, of course, how they respond to being told that.
There's no smoking in this building, Miss Trammell.
What are you gonna do? Charge me with smoking?
You can't smoke in here.
Excuse me, Mrs. Longer. There's no smoking in here.
Smoking can also function as an expressive tool or an extension of the character that's just about as important and useful for the actor as an extra limb. Some characters are practically unimaginable without something smoking hanging from their lips.
Bond. James Bond.
But sometimes the use of smoking is more subtle and indicates a character's emotional state. This usually takes the form of an anxious cigarette, where the character needs to experience some type of catharsis or relief.
Came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me.
Smoking can also indicate a seduction of sorts. Richard Klein has written that smoking cigarettes is a source of visible sensual pleasure.
I'm old enough for a lot of things.
Well,
However, smoking can also emphasize the self-destructive nature of a character, lending them a transgressive edge. Perhaps the most effective use of smoking, though, is when it's used to indicate how a character has changed.
Are you okay?
I'm a little bit lonely these days.
Nearly all of the films by director David Fincher use smoking this way, with Daniel Craig's character in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo being a particularly relevant example, as we see him light up for the first time at the beginning of the film before meeting Rooney Mara's character, who we consistently see smoking throughout the story, making his rejection of her offer of a cigarette at the end of the film also a clear rejection of her character.
I quit.
Finally, there's no denying that smoking is very aesthetically pleasing. It just looks great, particularly in black and white, serving as a way of heightening the drama.
Association and Foundation welcomes Mr. Edward R. Murrow.
It can show rather than tell the audience information about the passage of time, or further contribute towards world building in surreal or unusual situations where perhaps things are not as they seem.
Stop smoking, kitty.
Some directors and editors use its presence as an anchor for a shot, or even a lens transition, or even to facilitate a transition between scenes.
He likes it so much he hangs it on your bedroom wall.
I wouldn't let him.
Whatever its use in a film, there's no denying that there's something about smoke that is simply cinematic. Thanks for watching.